I was sorting laundry on a Tuesday afternoon when the receipt fell from Noah's jeans pocket. It fluttered to the floor like a white flag of surrender, except I was the one about to lose. I picked it up absently, expecting a gas station receipt or maybe lunch. Instead, my eyes landed on numbers that made my breath catch. $11,420. The store name read Prestige Jewelers. The date was 2 days ago. My hands started shaking. $11,000 for jewelry. We'd never discussed engagement. Noah had always said he wasn't ready for marriage, that we should enjoy what we have without pressure. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at that receipt. Part of me wanted to believe this was for me. A surprise proposal he'd been planning in secret. My heart lifted for one foolish moment. But my gut twisted with something darker. Noah had been distant lately. Working late. Taking calls in other rooms. Coming home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. I carefully folded the receipt and placed it back in his pocket exactly where I'd found it. My hands moved on autopilot, finishing the laundry while my mind raced through possibilities I didn't want to consider. That night, I lay awake beside him, listening to his steady breathing. The receipt burned in my mind like a brand. I wanted to ask, wanted to demand answers. But something told me to wait. To watch. To learn the truth before revealing that I knew anything at all. The truth came 3 days later. I was getting a glass of water when I heard Noah's voice from the garage. He was on the phone, speaking quietly, the way people do when they're hiding something. I moved closer to the door, my heart pounding. "She has no idea," Noah said, his voice low but clear. "I'll give Delilah the ring next weekend. We'll finally be done with this charade." My legs buckled. I grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. The glass slipped from my hand, but I caught it before it shattered. Some instinct to stay silent, to not reveal that I'd heard. Delilah. The name stabbed through me like a knife. I knew that name. Delilah Harper, Noah's old friend from high school. The one who'd moved back to town 6 months ago. The one he'd been helping with her new business. The one whose name appeared in his text messages with suspicious frequency. "The joint account has enough," Noah continued. "Once I'm clear of Tessa, we can start fresh. Sharon's already planning the engagement party." Sharon. His mother. She knew too. I backed away from the door silently, my mind screaming while my body moved in numb shock. I made it to the bedroom and closed the door before the tears came. But they didn't last long. Somewhere between the second and third sob, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to get smart. I opened my laptop and started a new document. I titled it simply, "Evidence." I called my best friend Marla the next morning. We met at a coffee shop far from my neighborhood, somewhere Noah would never randomly appear. "He's cheating on me," I said without preamble. "And he's planning to propose to her." Marla's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. "What? Are you sure?" I heard him on the phone. He said her name, Delilah. He bought her an $11,000 ring. "Tessa, that's..." Marla set down her cup carefully. "Are you absolutely sure you heard right?" "Maybe it was." "It wasn't a misunderstanding," I interrupted. "He said we'd be done. That he'd give her the ring next weekend." Marla looked genuinely distressed, but I could see the hesitation in her eyes. "Maybe you should just talk to him. Directly. There might be an explanation. An explanation for buying another woman an engagement ring? Men make mistakes," she said carefully. "Maybe he's confused. Maybe if you confront him." I left the coffee shop feeling more alone than when I'd arrived. Even my best friend wanted me to give him the benefit of the doubt. That evening I called my sister. Her response was worse. "Tessa, honey, these things happen. Relationships get complicated. Just talk to him. Work it out. Don't throw away 3 years over something that might be fixable." Fixable. Like his betrayal was a leaky faucet. I hung up feeling gaslit by the people who were supposed to support me. But their doubt did something unexpected. It made me more determined. If no one believed me, I'd have to prove it. And more importantly, I'd have to protect myself. I started writing everything down. Dates, times, conversations. Building a case nobody asked for, but everyone would eventually see. Sharon showed up unannounced on Saturday morning. Noah was at the gym, which meant this visit was deliberate. She'd timed it for when I'd be alone. "Tessa dear," she said, sweeping into my house without waiting for an invitation. "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by." Sharon had never just dropped by. In the 3 years I'd been with Noah, she surveyed my living room like a real estate agent evaluating property. "You've really made the best of this small space," she said, her tone dripping with false sweetness. "Very cozy." My house wasn't small. It was a modest 3-bedroom that I'd bought myself before meeting Noah. But Sharon had always made subtle comments about my choices, my career, my humble lifestyle compared to her family's wealth. She wandered into the kitchen, opening cabinets and commenting on my dishes. "Noah mentioned you're on the deed alone. That's so independent of you." My spine stiffened. "It's my house. I bought it." Of course. She smiled that tight smile that never reached her eyes. "Just thinking about the future. You know, when people make long-term commitments, property becomes so complicated." She was fishing, trying to determine what assets I had, what Noah might claim in a breakup. "Is there something specific you need, Sharon?" asked, my patience thinning. "Just checking in on my future daughter-in-law," she replied, but the emphasis on future felt like a threat. After she left, I stood in my kitchen feeling violated. Sharon hadn't come to visit, she'd come to scout. To see what Noah would be leaving behind. Or more accurately, what Delilah would be gaining. I logged into our joint bank account that evening, something I hadn't done in weeks. Noah handled most of our shared expenses, and I trusted him to manage it fairly. That trust shattered when I saw the balance. $25,000 was missing. We'd had nearly $40,000 in that account. My savings from years of careful budgeting, combined with Noah's contributions. Now there was barely $15,000 left. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the transactions. Large withdrawals over the past 2 months. $5,000 here, $10,000 there. All marked cash withdrawal with no explanation. When Noah came home, I was waiting at the kitchen table with my laptop open. "Where did the money go?" asked, keeping my voice level. He barely glanced at the screen. "Oh, that. Just some work stuff. Equipment investment. Don't worry, I'll replace it. $25,000 is a lot of equipment. It's complicated business expenses. You wouldn't understand." He kissed my forehead dismissively. "I'll have it back in the account next month." But I did understand. I understood perfectly. That money had paid for Delilah's ring and whatever else he was spending on his secret life with her. "Noah, this is my money too. I have a right to know." "Tessa, please. I'm exhausted. Can we not do this right now?" He walked away, effectively ending the conversation. I sat alone at the table, staring at the depleted account. My name was on it, but I had no control. I'd been funding my own betrayal. That night I barely slept. But by morning I had a plan. I became the perfect girlfriend. I cooked Noah's favorite meals. I laughed at his jokes. I asked about his day with genuine seeming interest. "I've been thinking about our future," I said casually over dinner one evening. "What do you see for us long term?" Noah smiled, completely buying my act. "I think we're great as we are. No need to rush into anything." "Right. I agree completely." I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "I'm glad we're on the same page." He relaxed visibly, probably relieved I wasn't pressuring him about commitment. He had no idea I was documenting every transaction, every lie, every moment of his betrayal. The next morning I visited my bank. I asked to speak with the branch manager privately. "I'm concerned about the security of my joint account," I explained carefully. "There have been large withdrawals I wasn't consulted about." The manager, a middle-aged woman named Patricia, listened intently. "Do you suspect fraud?" Not exactly. But I want to protect my assets. If this situation heads toward separation, what are my options? Patricia's expression softened with understanding. You can open a new account in your name only. If you're the primary breadwinner or have been contributing more, you have every right to protect your earnings. I opened a new account that day. Then I requested copies of every transaction from the joint account dating back a year. Patricia handed me a thick folder. Good luck, she said quietly. I've seen too many women lose everything because they waited too long. I wouldn't be one of them. The evidence kept piling up in ways I couldn't ignore. A perfume-scented scarf under the passenger seat of Noah's truck. Definitely not mine. I didn't wear floral scents. I preferred clean, subtle fragrances. A bottle of expensive red wine in the recycling bin. I hated red wine. Noah knew this. A receipt from Riverside Inn. A romantic bed and breakfast 2 hours away. The date was last month. During a weekend Noah claimed to be at a work conference. Each discovery felt like a small death, but I collected them all methodically. I photographed everything, saved every receipt, documented every inconsistency. Noah grew more careless as the weeks passed. He must have felt confident I suspected nothing. He left his phone unlocked on the counter while showering. I scrolled through his messages with Delilah, my stomach churning. Can't wait for next weekend. Finally telling her. The ring is perfect. You're going to love it. My mom is handling the party arrangements. I took screenshots of everything, sent them to my personal email, then deleted the sent messages from his phone. He'd never know I'd seen them. The hardest part wasn't the pain, it was pretending everything was fine. Kissing him goodnight. Saying I love you while knowing he was planning his future with someone else. But every fake smile bought me more time. More evidence. More leverage for what was coming. Sharon invited us to dinner the following week. Just a small family gathering, she'd said on the phone. When we arrived at her elegant house, Delilah was already there. Noah. Tessa. Sharon greeted us warmly, but her eyes lingered on me with something like pity or triumph. You remember Delilah, don't you? Delilah stood near the fireplace in a designer dress, her smile sharp and confident. She looked like someone who'd already won. Of course, I replied smoothly. The old family friend. Delilah's been such a help with the upcoming event, Sharon said, and I caught the slight pause, the knowing look she shared with her son. Throughout dinner I played the perfect, oblivious girlfriend. I passed dishes, asked polite questions, and smiled until my face hurt. Noah and Delilah kept exchanging glances they thought were subtle. Sharon practically glowed with approval every time they interacted. Tessa, you really should try the wine, Delilah suggested, her voice syrupy sweet. It's from Noah's favorite vineyard. The same vineyard from the receipt I'd found. They were taunting me, testing to see if I'd noticed anything. I'm driving, I replied pleasantly. But thank you. I excused myself to use the bathroom and stood in Sharon's powder room, gripping the sink edge. They expected me to fold quietly, to disappear without a fight. They had no idea what was coming. That night was my lowest point. I sat on the back porch with a glass of wine, staring into the darkness. My phone was in my hand, a drafted text to Noah on the screen. I know everything. We're done. My finger hovered over the send button. It would be so easy. So satisfying to finally confront him, to watch his carefully constructed lies crumble. But I didn't send it. Instead, I deleted the draft and opened my laptop. I created a new spreadsheet. In one column, I listed every deposit I'd made to the joint account over the past 3 years. My paychecks, my bonuses, my tax returns. The total made my eyes water. $67,000. I'd contributed $67,000 to an account Noah was now draining for another woman. I opened a second spreadsheet and calculated what I'd paid toward household expenses. Groceries, utilities, repairs. Another $30,000 over 3 years. I'd funded our entire life while he saved his money for Delilah. The next morning I went back to my bank. Patricia helped me open a new savings account. Separate, secure, in my name only. I'm ready to start moving my money, I told her. She nodded approvingly. Smart woman. I rerouted my paycheck direct deposit to the new account. Then I started the process of refinancing my house, removing Noah's name from any paperwork he'd somehow attached himself to. He didn't notice any of it. He was too busy planning his future with Delilah. I needed legal advice before making my next move. I found Marianne Keene through a friend's recommendation, a divorce attorney known for being ruthless but fair. Her office was neat and professional, her handshake firm. I laid out everything. The missing money, the ring receipt, the overheard phone call, the screenshots, the evidence I'd been collecting. Marianne listened without interrupting, taking notes occasionally. When I finished, she leaned forward. First question, are you married to him? No. We've been together 3 years, living together for 2. Good. That makes this cleaner. She reviewed her notes. The joint account. You're both authorized users? Yes, but I've contributed most of the money. Can you prove that? I showed her my spreadsheets, my bank statements, my meticulous documentation. Marianne's expression shifted to approval. Tessa, you've done excellent work here. Most people come to me with nothing but hurt feelings. You've brought evidence. She set down her pen. Here's my advice, don't leave yet. Don't tip your hand. You're still in control, and he doesn't know it. What should I do? Protect your assets quietly. Move your money to accounts he can't access. Secure your property. Document everything he does. And when you're ready, when everything is locked down tight, then you leave on your terms. Is that legal? Everything you've earned is yours. You're not stealing, you're protecting. And given what he's done with the joint account, you have every right to safeguard your finances. I left her office feeling clear-headed for the first time in weeks. I wasn't drowning anymore. I was planning. Following Marianne's instructions, I moved methodically. First, I closed my old personal checking account and consolidated everything into my new, separate accounts. Then I contacted my employer's HR department. I need to update my direct deposit information, I explained, providing my new account details. The HR representative processed it without question. Starting next pay period, my salary would go straight into an account Noah couldn't touch. Next, I tackled the house. I'd bought it before meeting Noah, so the deed was in my name. But somewhere along the way, he'd convinced me to add him to the home insurance policy and a few utility accounts, creating the illusion of shared ownership. I called my insurance company. I'd like to remove someone from my policy. Is this due to a separation? Preventative measure, I replied. It wasn't a lie. I spent the next 2 weeks quietly removing Noah's name from everything I could. The electricity bill, the water bill, the home security system. Piece by piece, I erased his claim to my life. He noticed nothing. He was working late most nights now, probably with Delilah. He'd come home smelling like her perfume, offering weak excuses about client dinners. I smiled and kissed him hello like nothing was wrong. At night, I updated my spreadsheets and reviewed my exit strategy. I was building a fortress around my assets, and Noah was too distracted by his affair to see the walls going up. I decided to test him one evening. We were having dinner at home, one of the increasingly rare nights he wasn't working late. Noah, I said casually, if we ever got married, would you want a prenup? He looked up from his phone, clearly surprised by the question. Then he laughed. A prenup? Why? You don't have anything worth protecting. The words hit like a slap, but I kept my expression neutral. I have the house. My savings. I just wondered. Tessa, honey, prenups are for people with real wealth. You've got a little house and a modest job. There's nothing to protect. He said it kindly, as if he were explaining something simple to a child. Right, I replied softly. I guess you're right. He went back to his phone, already dismissing the conversation. That moment, his casual contempt, his complete underestimation of me, killed something inside me. Not my love for him. That had died weeks ago when I'd heard him on the phone with Delilah. No, this killed my guilt. My lingering sense that maybe I was overreacting, that maybe I should give him a chance to explain. Noah thought I was worth nothing. He'd stolen my money to buy another woman a ring, and he genuinely believed I had nothing worth protecting. He was about to learn exactly how wrong he was. Sharon slipped up the following Sunday at brunch. Noah had dragged me to yet another family gathering, probably to maintain appearances before his big reveal. We were discussing holiday plans when Sharon turned to me with that fake sweet smile. Well, after the wedding, this house situation won't be yours to worry about anyway. The table went silent. Noah's face flushed red. Delilah, who was once again mysteriously present at a family event, looked down at her plate. I took a slow sip of my mimosa, letting the moment stretch. Then I smiled at Sharon. That's what you think. Sharon's expression faltered. What do you mean? I mean the house is in my name. Solely mine. Always has been, always will be. I set down my glass. But thank you for your concern about my property. Noah tried to smooth things over with a forced laugh. Mom's just confused. We haven't even discussed marriage. Haven't you? I looked directly at him. That's interesting. I watched the fear flicker across his face, wondering if I'd somehow discovered his plans. But he recovered quickly, probably assuming I was just reacting to his mother's comment. Delilah excused herself to the bathroom. Sharon started talking loudly about unrelated topics. Noah's hand found mine under the table, squeezing in what he probably thought was reassurance. I squeezed back, playing along. But in my purse, my phone was recording every word of this conversation. Marianne had told me to document everything, and I was following her instructions perfectly. 2 weeks later, Noah invited me to dinner at Bellissimo, the most expensive Italian restaurant in town. He said it was for our anniversary, though our actual anniversary had passed 3 months ago without acknowledgement. I dressed carefully, wearing the blue dress he'd always loved. Part of me already knew what was coming, but I had to see it through. We were halfway through our entrees when she walked in. Delilah entered the restaurant like she owned it, wearing a stunning red dress and a smile that was all victory. She walked straight to our table. "Noah!" she exclaimed as if surprised to see him. "What a coincidence." Noah stood up, his face flushed. "Delilah, and Tessa, how lovely to see you." Delilah's eyes met mine, and I saw everything in that look. She knew I knew. This was her moment of triumph. Noah cleared his throat. "Actually, Delilah, I'm glad you're here." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. I sat completely still, watching this scene unfold like I was somewhere far away. Noah opened the box, revealing a stunning diamond ring, the $11,420 ring from the receipt I'd found weeks ago. Then he turned away from me and faced Delilah. "Delilah Harper," he began, dropping to one knee beside our table. "Will you marry me?" Delilah gasped dramatically, covering her mouth with her hands. "Yes. Oh my God, yes." The restaurant erupted in applause. Sharon appeared from somewhere in the crowd, clapping enthusiastically. People were taking photos, recording videos, celebrating this beautiful moment. I stood up slowly. Every eye turned to me. Noah looked almost guilty, but not quite. Delilah's smile was radiant with false sympathy. "Congratulations," I said clearly, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent restaurant. Then I picked up my purse, smiled at them both, and walked out with my head high. Noah caught up with me in the parking lot, grabbing my arm. "Tessa, wait. I didn't mean for you to find out like this." Pulled my arm free. "That's not the part that hurt." "What?" "You didn't mean for me to find out like this," I repeated. "As if there was a good way to discover you've been cheating on me, spending my money on another woman, and planning a future that didn't include me. You're being dramatic." "I'm being dramatic." I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised both of us. You just proposed to someone else in front of me in a public restaurant, with a ring you bought using money from our joint account. And I'm dramatic. Look, things just happened with Delilah. It wasn't planned. The $11,000 ring suggests otherwise. His face went pale. How did you? I found the receipt weeks ago, Noah. I've known about this for a while. I watched him process this. Watched him realize I'd been playing along. I've known about all of it. Then why didn't you say something? Because I wanted to see exactly who you were. And now I know. Anne locked my car. Enjoy your engagement. Enjoy your life with Delilah and your mother's approval. You've earned it. Tessa, don't be like this. We can still be civil. Civil. I turned back to him. You humiliated me publicly, stole my money, and cheated on me for months. But sure, let's be civil. I drove away, watching him shrink in my rearview mirror. He looked confused, maybe even a little hurt. He had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I met with Marianne and my financial advisor simultaneously. We sat in Marianne's office with documents spread across her conference table. Let's tally everything, Marianne said, pen poised. We went through my contribution records line by line. Every deposit to the joint account. Every household expense I'd covered. Every payment I'd made on his behalf. The total came to $97,000 over 3 years. And he took $25,000 from the joint account. Marianne confirmed. Yes. Without my permission or knowledge. Perfect. That's theft from a shared account. Especially since you can prove you were the primary contributor. She made notes. What about his personal finances? My financial advisor pulled up the credit report I'd requested. Noah Wesley has significant credit card debt. The ring purchase was financed. He took out a personal loan at 18% interest. So he's broke? Yes. Essentially. He's been living beyond his means for years. Probably counting on your financial stability to back him up. I thought about all the times Noah had suggested I pay for things because he was a little short. All the times I'd covered rent or utilities because he had unexpected expenses. I'd been funding his entire life while he saved for a future with someone else. There's more, my advisor continued. The joint account is in both names, but you can request documentation showing the source of all deposits. That proves it's primarily your money. Marianne smiled. Which means you can withdraw it. Legally. I'd already done that 2 days ago, moving the remaining $15,000 to my personal account. Noah hadn't noticed yet. What if he sues? Yes. Marianne handed me a document. He can't. This shows every transaction, every contribution. You can't sue someone for taking back what legally belongs to them. Delilah showed up at my door 3 days later. I was working from home when the doorbell rang insistently. She stood on my porch in designer jeans and fury. Where's the money? She demanded. I'm sorry. The wedding money. Noah said there was $50,000 in savings. He promised me a big wedding, a honeymoon in Europe. But when we went to the bank yesterday, the account was almost empty. I leaned against my doorframe, genuinely enjoying this conversation. You should really ask your fiancé about that. I'm asking you. You took the money. Noah said you cleaned out your joint account. I took my money, I corrected. The money I earned and deposited. Noah just had access to it. That's not how he explained it. I'm sure it's not. But that doesn't change the facts. I started to close the door. Congratulations on your engagement, by the way. I hope you two will be very happy on your budget wedding. You can't do this. That money was for both of you. No, Delilah. That money was mine. Earned it. Saved it. And I'm no longer involved in Noah's finances. I smiled pleasantly. Which means I'm also not involved in yours. Good luck. I closed the door in her face and locked it. Through the window, I watched her stand there for a moment, clearly shocked, before finally stalking back to her car. My phone rang immediately. Noah's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called 6 more times. I ignored them all. Finally a text. "We need to talk. This is insane." I replied once. "Talk to your fiancé." Then I blocked his number. Sharon arrived the next morning, her face red with anger. She pushed past me into my house without invitation. "You've embarrassed my family," she announced, standing in my living room like an avenging angel. "Noah is heartbroken. How dare you steal from him and then abandon him during his happiest moment?" I closed the door calmly. "Sharon, I didn't steal anything. I took my own money from an account Noah was misusing. He needed that money for the wedding. His wedding to another woman while he was still living with me?" I raised an eyebrow. "Forgive me for not being more supportive. Noah made a mistake. He got confused. He spent $11,000 on an engagement ring for someone else. That's not confusion. That's betrayal." Sharon's face contorted. "You always were too selfish to appreciate my son. He deserves better than someone so cold-hearted. Then he found her. You should be happy. You need to give back that money. It's rightfully his. Actually, it's rightfully mine." I walked to my desk and pulled out a document Marianne had prepared. "This shows every deposit I made to that account. Every dollar Noah withdrew. You'll notice I contributed $67,000 over 3 years. He contributed 23. I took $15,000 when I closed the account. The math is pretty clear." Sharon stared at the paper, her mouth opening and closing. "The house is also mine. Solely mine. Always has been." I handed her another document. "Here's the deed. Notice only my name appears on it. But Noah lives here. Not for long." Sharon's face went from red to purple. "You can't kick him out. He has rights. He has 30 days. I'm being generous." I guided her toward the door. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have work to do." "You'll pay for this," Sharon hissed. "My family has lawyers. So do I. And mine have all the documentation they need." "Open the door." "Have a nice day, Sharon." She left sputtering threats. I watched her drive away, feeling nothing but relief. Noah's lawyer sent a letter 3 days later, threatening legal action for theft of shared assets. Marianne read it and laughed. "They're bluffing. They have no case." "You're sure?" "Positive. You have documentation proving every dollar in that account was yours. He can't sue you for taking your own money." She drafted a response letter outlining every transaction, every contribution, every legal protection I had. The letter ended with, "You cannot sue someone for taking back what legally belongs to them. Any further harassment will be met with counteraction for fraud and misuse of shared accounts." We never heard from Noah's lawyer again. But the damage to his finances was just beginning. Delilah's engagement ring payment was due, and Noah couldn't make it. His credit cards were maxed out. The personal loan for the ring was accruing interest he couldn't pay. His perfect life was collapsing, and there was no one left to bail him out. Derek, a mutual friend who'd stayed neutral, told me Noah had tried to borrow money from everyone he knew. "He's desperate," Derek reported. "Asking for $20,000. Says it's temporary. Is anyone helping him? Would you?" I wouldn't. And apparently, neither would anyone else. Noah's golden reputation was tarnished by the public proposal disaster and the whispers about financial problems. Meanwhile, I was thriving. My savings were secure. My house was solely mine. My credit remained perfect because I'd moved fast enough. I'd protected myself while Noah's world crumbled. I served Noah with a formal 30-day eviction notice. Marianne hand-delivered it herself, making it official and legally binding. Noah called from a friend's phone since I'd blocked his number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Tessa, please. You can't kick me out." His voice was desperate, nothing like the confident man who'd proposed to another woman in front of me. "I can. And I am. I have nowhere to go. Delilah's apartment is too small. My mom said she can't take me in. That sounds like a you problem. I made a mistake. I was confused. Can't we work this out? Work what out, Noah? You proposed to someone else. You stole my money. You humiliated me publicly. What exactly is there to work out? I thought you loved me. I did love you. Past tense. My voice was cold and clear. But you made your choice when you bought that ring. You chose Delilah. So go be with Delilah. She's not taking my calls anymore. She found out about the debt, about my financial situation. She said she can't marry someone who lied about having money. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. You were very clear when you proposed to someone else in front of me, I said. Crystal clear. Now I'm being clear. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. After that, your belongings will be on the curb. Tessa hung up. He tried calling back repeatedly. I blocked the new number. Eventually he stopped trying. Marla called me a week later. We met for coffee, the first time I'd seen her since everything exploded. You look amazing, she said, genuinely surprised. I thought you'd be falling apart. Why would I be falling apart? Because of Noah. The breakup. The public humiliation. She studied my face. You're not devastated. I was devastated weeks ago when I first found out. But I had time to process it privately, to prepare, to protect myself. I sipped my latte. By the time he proposed to Delilah, I was already 3 steps ahead. You knew it was coming. I heard him planning it. Overheard a phone call. I pulled out my phone and showed her some of the documentation I'd collected. I've been gathering evidence for weeks. Marla's eyes widened as she scrolled through screenshots, receipts, and bank records. You were planning this the whole time. Not the whole time. But once I knew the truth, I knew I had to protect myself. Nobody believed me when I first tried to tell them. So I stopped telling and started documenting. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. It's okay. It taught me something valuable. I can only rely on myself. We talked for another hour. Marla filled me in on the gossip I'd missed. Delilah had indeed left Noah once she discovered he was broke. Sharon was refusing to speak to him, angry that he'd embarrassed the family. His friends were keeping their distance. He's basically alone, Marla said. I felt a twinge of something. Not quite guilt, but a shadow of the person I used to be, the one who would have felt bad for him. But that person was gone. She'd died in a restaurant when her boyfriend proposed to someone else. I spent the next few weeks reclaiming my house, making it mine again in ways it hadn't been since Noah moved in. I replaced the bed, the one we'd shared, the one that held too many memories. I bought new sheets, new pillows, a new comforter in colors Noah had always hated. I hung artwork I'd kept in storage because Noah had called it too abstract. I rearranged furniture, painted the guest room, planted flowers in the garden. Every change erased him a little more. My house became a home again. My space, designed for my comfort, reflecting my taste. Living alone wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. I worked on my career, accepting projects I'd turned down before because Noah had wanted my evenings free. I took a promotion at work that required occasional travel. I joined a book club and started taking yoga classes. My life expanded in ways it couldn't when I'd been trying to accommodate someone who'd never appreciated the effort. One evening, standing in my newly painted living room with a glass of wine, I realized I was happy. Not getting over it, happy, or moving on happy. Just genuinely content with my life. Noah had tried to destroy me. Instead, he'd set me free. 6 months after the disastrous proposal, Derek called with an update I hadn't asked for but secretly wanted. Noah's credit is destroyed, he reported. That ring loan defaulted. He had to file bankruptcy. And Delilah. She's suing him for fraud. Claims he promised her money he didn't have, made her quit her job to plan the wedding. She wants $50,000 in damages. Will she get it? From someone who just filed bankruptcy? Probably not. But it keeps him tied up in legal problems. What about Sharon? Cut him off completely. Told people she can't afford to associate with someone so financially irresponsible. Derek paused. He tried texting you again last week. From another new number. What did he say? Just can we talk? I thought you should know. I hadn't received the message. I changed my number after blocking him 3 times. But knowing he was still trying to reach me, still thinking there might be a way back, gave me a grim satisfaction. There was no way back. The bridge wasn't burned. It had never existed. Everything I'd thought we had was built on lies and my money. How are you doing? Derek asked. Really? I'm good. Really good, actually. And I meant it. I wrote a letter I never intended to send. It was something Marianne had suggested during our final session. Write down everything you want to say. Get it out. Then decide if sending it serves you or just serves your need to be heard. So I wrote, Noah, thank you. Not for the betrayal or the humiliation. Not for stealing my money or proposing to someone else while living in my house. Thank you for showing me exactly who I am when everything falls apart. I'm someone who documents, who plans, who protects herself. I'm someone stronger than both you and Delilah ever were. You thought I'd crumble. Instead, I built a fortress. You thought I'd beg you to stay. Instead, I changed the locks. You thought I was weak. You were wrong. I hope you've learned something from this. I hope you treat your next partner better. But honestly, I don't really care. You're not my problem anymore. You're just a lesson I needed to learn about trusting the wrong people. Goodbye, Noah. I'd say I hope you find happiness, but I think we both know you'll have to buy it with someone else's money. I read it 3 times. Then I burned it in my fireplace, watching the paper curl and blacken. No tears. No regrets. Just closure. A year after the receipt fell from Noah's pocket, I sat on my porch with my morning coffee, watching the neighborhood wake up. My house was paid off early. I'd taken the money I would have wasted on Noah and made an extra payment. My savings account was healthy again. My credit was perfect. More importantly, I was at peace. A neighbor walked by and waved. Morning, Tessa. I waved back, smiling genuinely. I'd heard through Derek that Noah was working 2 jobs to pay off his debts. Delilah had moved to another state. Sharon had started telling people she'd never really approved of Noah's choices. I felt nothing about any of it. They were characters in a story I'd finished reading. I opened my phone and checked my bank account. Habit more than necessity. Everything was there. Everything was mine. Everything was protected. I hadn't won by fighting back with anger or revenge. I'd won by protecting myself when no one believed I needed protection. I'd won by documenting when others told me to forgive. I'd won by walking away with everything they thought they could take from me. Noah had underestimated me. He'd thought I was easy to discard, that I'd accept his betrayal quietly, that I had nothing worth protecting. He'd learned the hard way that quiet doesn't mean weak. And I'd learned that sometimes the greatest power comes from knowing exactly when to stop fighting for someone who never fought for you. I took another sip of coffee, feeling the morning sun on my face. Life was good. And it was finally completely mine.